What is up, everyone? Welcome to It's Been a Week. I'm your host, Ben McDonald, and this is your weekly dose of whatever the hell just happened. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Oh my God, that was one of my favorite parts of Tiger King, which, fun fact, I actually signed a petition to get Joe Exotic out of prison because I just feel like he really doesn't have to be there. I feel like he didn't actually kill her. He didn't kill Carol Baskin. He just threatened to, which is like debatable. I mean, she actually did kill her husband and fed him to the tigers. So I don't know. I just think he doesn't need to be in jail. I actually think Joe Exotic would be really fun to party with. Like, I would love to hang out with him. Look, I don't want to have sex with him, and I might skip, like the mess, but like give him an edible and take him to the San Diego Zoo. I bet you we would have a fucking good time. I mean, he would have so much knowledge. Him at the zoo, I think would just be a really great time. Okay, but the zoo and Joe Exotic is not what we're here to talk about today. Something I have to get out to everyone. We need to talk about the fucking drivers in Texas, because I'm going to tell you right now, there are two types of drivers. Driver number one is on his own journey, in no rush to get anywhere, just kind of taking in the scenery, just minding his own business, fucking looking left, looking right, like he's never seen a goddamn oak tree. Just gotta enjoy it all. Driver number two is straight out of fucking Fast and the Furious. This person is hauling ass, and if you are in the way, you're going to get hit. So those are the two types of drivers we have here. Now, in Texas, if you're not on the freeway and you're on like the back roads or the county roads or I don't know, whatever the fuck the road is when it's not a freeway, the speed limit here is 75 miles per hour. And I'm not exaggerating. Like the signs say 75 miles per hour. It is fucking fast, which means people are actually going like 85 miles per hour. And if you're going and say you need to take a left-handed turn, so you come to a stop or you're slowing down, the people behind you will just go off onto the shoulder and then dart right by you. Like, it's insane. It's kind of like, if I had to compare it, if you've ever driven in LA and you're in traffic and there's the motorcyclists that just come flying down the middle of the road, which is beyond crazy to me, because I'm like, beyond just people merging and you getting hit, what if someone, like, I don't know, opens their door or has their hand out the window, or I don't know, you hit their mirror? I guess I'm not in the mood to play like real life Sonic the Hedgehog on a motorcycle, but that's just me. Now, let me tell you about the freeway system in fucking Dallas. I don't know who designed this hodgepodge piece of shit, who slapped this bullshit together. You have no idea where the fuck you're going. And guess what? Neither does Google Maps or any GPS for that matter. You'll be on the freeway. You don't know if your exit's on the left, on the right. It's like dealer's choice. You'll just have to see where we end up. You may end up on an express lane, which is cool, but if you do, you may not be able to get off. So I don't know. If I had to guess the designer of the Dallas freeway system, I'd have to say it was like fucking Helen Keller, because this shit makes zero sense. It is a total shit show. That's all there is to it. It's a shit show. And I was kind of under the assumption, which, assumptions are the root of all fuck-ups. I was under the assumption that their speeding tickets aren't really a thing in Texas because, like, the back roads are 75 miles per hour. Like, who's sitting there writing speeding tickets? So a little while ago, I had to make a trip to LA. I was going by myself. So I was like, I don't want to drive the car and have to leave the car at the airport and whatever. So I'll just get a driver. We have Uber, but it's kind of hit or miss. But we have other driving services out here that are very similar. So I get a driver. He picked me up at like 5 a.m, so it's pitch black out. And our driveway, when you come into our driveway, you come through a gate and there's horse pastures on both sides of you, and you go past the barn. So you drive by all the animals, you'll see the horses. This driver picks me up. He goes, "Wow, man, so you got horses?" "No, they're fucking giraffes." What do you think?" "Yeah, they're fucking horses." What a stupid question. So I get in the car, we're headed to the airport. I'm on my phone trying to stay busy so that I don't have to communicate with this person. And we're going, and all of a sudden I see the flashing lights behind me. And I'm like, oh my God, we're getting pulled over. And like the guy's freaking out. He's like, oh my God, hope you don't miss your flight. Hope you don't miss your flight. I'm like, dude, I have plenty of time. Like I have TSA pre-check. I have clear. Like the airport takes me 2.2 seconds to get through. Don't you worry. And so he pulls over and I can just tell. I can instantly tell by this fucking bitch of a police officer. I mean, she walked like a linebacker. She's coming up and I'm like, oh God, here we go. He rolls the window down and she goes, do you know how fast you were going? And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then she turns back and looks at me and she goes, why are you in the back? And I'm thinking, why are both your eyebrows touching? I don't know, bitch. I guess we all got questions. And he goes, oh, I'm bringing him to the airport. And she goes, oh, what do you like, an Uber? So she probably thought I was like this pompous asshole, like sitting in the back of the car with the driver. But here's the deal, guys. We were in a Mazda. It's not like we were in like some big black SUV. This was not like a scene out of Succession. Like this was a fucking calm down. So the lady goes, okay. And she goes to the back and back to her vehicle. And she's, whatever, running his plates. She comes back and she goes, all right, sir, I'm going to let you off with a warning. And she turns to me and goes, but you get a ticket for no seatbelt. I was like, what? She's like, Texas is a ticket or click it state. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. So I get my citation, which I'm like looking it up. It was like, I don't know, $175, which I was like, whatever. But the bigger thing is it takes points off of your license and like your insurance goes up. So I was like, this is bullshit. I go, this man's going 20 miles over and I get a ticket for no seatbelt. And she even said when she gave him the warning, she goes, me my ticket. She goes, you just really should have your seatbelt on, especially with how fast he's driving. What the fuck? So I was like, well, clearly I'm going to fight this. I said, she's clearly homophobic and just an angry person. So I email the court. I'm like, I'd like to fight this. So a few weeks later, I get my court date and, I show up in like this nice tailored suit and some Gucci shoes. And I mean, I'm looking fucking great because I'm like, I'm going to go and, press this judge. Meanwhile, everyone else in the lobby is in like flip-flops and like Lilo and Stitch sweatpants, like pajama pants. And I was like, where the fuck am I? So I get in, I get to go speak to the judge and I'm like, Your Honor. And I tell him my little spiel and I basically made up this whole lie. And I was like, look, sir, Your Honor, my seatbelt was on, but when we got pulled over, I assumed I'd have to get my driver's license, which was in my luggage in the trunk. So I had unbuckled my seatbelt and da-da-da-da. And so I give my whole story and the judge just looks at me and goes, okay, so what do you want me to do about it? I go, I don't know. You're a fucking judge. I'd like you to dismiss it, obviously. And he goes, well, I can't do that. He goes, but I can lower the price on it. So he took $20 off. So I was like, I don't care about the $20. I can get all dressed up and come do this bullshit to save $20. And then he goes, okay, well, if you don't get another ticket in, 30, 60 days, he goes, it will be dismissed and it won't be on your record. So I was like, fine, fair enough. Take that. So let's just hope I don't get any tickets in the near future and we can just forget about this ticket altogether. And next time I go to the airport, I will make sure to wear my fucking seatbelt. And speaking of going to the airport, this next guest I have coming on, Brittany, we are going to talk all about airport travel, strangers, sometimes people we think are not strangers, and some of the crazy shit that can happen when you do encounter quote unquote strangers. So buckle up and get ready for one of my amazing friends, Brittany, because she's a trip. So here you go. Brittany, welcome to the podcast. It's been a week.
Oh my gosh, Ben, I'm so glad to be here. And yeah, it has been a week.
Tell me.
Okay.
How's your week going?
I'm one of those people who gets in every wrong line. Like if there is a line and there's two of them to choose, I get in the wrong one. And so I've been traveling this week and airports are just a full-on shit show in general. And people just don't know how to travel sometimes. And so I got into every wrong line to the point that I was held up at security, waiting as everyone's bags are coming out, all of that. And so luckily did not miss any flights. But don't ever follow me in a line because I will choose the wrong one and it will be like the line that gets like strip searched.
So if you do pick a line, pretty much pick the opposite.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Never follow me anywhere.
I feel like there's the lines at airports, it's gotten really complex because we were just at LaGuardia the other day and there's general boarding, TSA, clear with TSA. And now there's a new one, digital ID.
Digital ID is the most amazing. It needs to be at every airport.
And I think it's going to put Clear out of business.
Oh, 1,000%.
Because we went, similar to you, we were trying to get, we had plenty of time, but there was all these lines. And I'm like, well, what fucking one do we use? Because we technically could apply to all of them.
Yep.
And the lady goes, well, go in the digital ID. It's the shortest. And I'm like, but is it like better than the TSA? And our Clear lady goes, just go in it. 2 minutes long. You walk up to the line. You don't even pull anything out. It just takes your picture. And they're like, have a good day.
Yeah. It is the most brilliant thing that has happened to airport travel in quite some time, because I also would pay extra to be in a line with people who have traveled a significant amount of time. I cannot stand when people are like, it's their first time at the airport.
Pulling all their things out.
Yeah. All of a sudden you have to take your shoes off. I'm like, I don't even get in those lines.
Right.
But I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Is this your first time, or have you never seen or heard about airport travel?
It's amazing how many times it really does feel like people's very first time in a public setting. Back to the digital ID before we move on to that.
Yep.
How did I get a digital ID?
Oh, I don't know. And it's only got a couple of airports. And like, I believe it's because you already have the things. Like, you already have TSA PreCheck, you already have Clear. And then they're just there's a couple of airlines and a couple of airports that do it. I'm talking out of my ass. I do not work for TSA.
Right.
This is my belief of why we've all gotten digital ID, because it just popped up on one of my
apps.
And I was like, yeah, of course I want this.
Because I, like for TSA, well, first of all, I have global entry.
Yeah.
And when I got global entry, I mean, AJ forever was like, you have to get it. And I was like, it's fine. And then I finally was like, I got to get this. Well, do you know how hard it is to get an appointment?
I'm still waiting.
So you have two options. You can get an appointment. I was trying to get it, and they're like, you can fly to Hawaii for an appointment, and that's in like 2 hours. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. Or if you leave the country, when you're coming back in,
yes,
you can go to the global entry if you happen to land at a time when the global entry office is open. So on our last trip to Europe, we had to stop. I think we stopped in New York, JFK, I think. And the office was open. I had just gotten off a sweaty, hot 12-hour flight from France. I looked like I was in a sweatsuit, which I always have this idea that I should wear like a sweatsuit on a plane because you're going to be cozy.
Yeah.
And it's the worst idea. It's so fucking hot. It's like, what was I thinking? I don't, yes.
Yeah.
That's a great word for that. And I never learned my lesson. So I'm sweating. It's hot. We had bought stuff plus our carry-on. So our luggage is heavy as shit. We're lugging it through JFK, and I have to stop in this office. And I mean, then they're asking all these questions, basically like, are you, a terrorist?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. And
thank you for asking.
Yeah.
No.
But no. And then I remember they took my photo, and I was like, can we redo it? And the guy's like, no. And I'm like, oh, so that's the photo I have. But also for Clear, you had to like sign up for it. You have to pay for it. You had to do your fingerprints and your eyes, and it's a whole hoopla. Digital ID, they're just like, you got it.
Oh, so digital ID, you just there. Speaking of photos on Clear, my photo at Clear, when I took it, it was 5:30 in the morning. I was under the influence, and my eyes are barely open. And every time I go up to there, I laugh so hard because I was like, we should take this again. And she was like, no, move along. And I was like, well, this is now in posterity for me at the airport. Yep. And so I wholeheartedly, but I'm still not global entry, and I travel all the time, and it bugs the shit out of me that I cannot get an appointment, and I've yet to be able to find the time to show up. I may just like take a day off of work, go to LAX, and just stand there and like go in.
You can't. It has to be before you go through customs. No, they get you. So the office, the door,
a loophole.
There's not. I thought so too. You have to go right when you get off of your flight before you go into customs.
Oh, damn it!
So they like get you. So really, you'd have to fly to like Canada or Mexico, like find a cheap flight, and then on the way back in.
Do it.
But make sure they have weird hours. You got to make sure you land when their hours are open.
Did you need to submit? Did you have to pre-submit all of your paperwork and then you did it, or could you do it all right there? Because
I think I did all the paperwork and I did everything, and then it was like approved, awaiting appointment. So I did all the steps, but to get the appointment, the next available one, it was like 2 years out.
Right. It was like, what are you doing January 1st, 2045? And you're like, well, I'm not sure.
But I'll put it down my calendar.
And disappointments. I'm just like, does this day work for you? I'm like, sure.
I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, let alone, I'm like, just send me a reminder like, hey, you're about due.
Yep.
Now we should look into scheduling that.
Correct.
Yeah. And my photo for Clear, I had gotten, it was during an ice storm here, which, I know it's weird, we had an ice storm. And I was in Lowe's buying something, and I ducked down and I hit the cart and my whole eye started bleeding, gushing blood.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So when I went to get my photo, my whole face was black and blue and I had a big scar like on the top of my forehead. So that's my photo every time I check in.
Oh my
Clear.
gosh. Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like you should see the other guy.
I know. the Lowe's shopping cart. But the digital ID thing, I just think I need to look into that. Like,
It's
how did
the
we
way
get
of the
it?
future.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, I had an interesting week.
Did you tell me all about it?
So I, for the last 2, maybe 3 years, have been growing my hair out.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had long hair. And it was a labor of love because I've always wanted long hair, but I could never get through like the ugly phases or the growing it out. And when I was here in Texas, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm on a ranch at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone.
Live that ranch life.
Yeah. Put a cowboy hat, put a hat on, whatever. No one sees it. So I grew my hair out. It got really long and I cut it this week. As you can see.
It looks damn good. I mean, yeah.
So I'm so used to having my hair in a man bun.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. I didn't even really think. I woke up one day and I think like 2 days ago and I was like, I'm going to cut it.
And any regrets?
Not yet.
Okay.
It still is a little, I still can't believe I did it.
Uh-huh.
A little weird.
Yeah.
It was a little, it was scary because I was like, oh, what if you fix it up?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
And what if you hate it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, there are plenty of those, especially, I don't understand how you can be a hairdresser because
The pressure.
Yes, the pressure is insane.
I couldn't do it because even my guy, he went a little shorter than I wanted, but it was like, I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
But what if you really fuck it up and like the person's like, I don't know, that would stress me out.
I've left hairdressers left, right, and center because they've messed up my hair so badly that
Like
I'm
mid cut?
Oh, no. Like I've gotten it done and then I'm like, I don't like this, or the color. So I get my hair colored and the color has been like wildly terrible. Or something like that. I mean, and people bring in photos and it's like, this isn't even your hair texture or
Right.
But they're like, back in the day, they're like, this is now aging me, but it's like, give me the Rachel. I mean, I did never do that because I couldn't.
Yeah.
But it was like people did that and their hair looked like shit.
Yeah.
And it was like, because you couldn't, that wasn't going to work with your hair. But yet a hairdresser's like, okay, whatever you want.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
So I showed the guy other photos of me.
Okay. Because I was going to say, who was your inspiration?
So when I went, myself, it was my own inspiration. So I went back on my phone and I was looking and I was like, hey, wait, I really liked it here and here. So I screenshotted a bunch of photos of myself.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay, I know my hair can look like this.
Yep.
And I showed him like, it was basically in the growing out phase. It was like before it got too long, but it wasn't short because my hair used to be short. Like when you first met me, it was like,
absolutely.
in these photos, like it was short.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, don't go. And he went a little shorter than I wanted, but I mean, it will grow into it, especially because I'm on those Hims pills, which I think makes your hair grow like a weed.
Yeah.
But, no, I was like, okay, because I had to change, even yesterday, I had to like change all my headshots on all my on my website, on my casting sites, tell my agents and my manager. I'm like, hey, by the way, I cut my hair, so don't use those headshots because if you use the wrong headshots, I had this happen to me a couple months ago. I booked a job it was modeling for like a movie theater.
Okay.
And I forget what it's called, Cinemark.
Like AMC? You and
Kinda.
Nicole Kidman?
Yeah.
You were in the seat behind her?
Exactly. This was Cinemark, which I think is basically like the equivalent to AMC out here. And I show up to set and I walk in there and I'm just like, hey, everyone. And I could feel the energy of everyone looking at me like in a not great way.
Okay.
And I'm like, huh, okay. So I was like, whatever. And I go sit down in the makeup chair to do my hair and makeup. And I see these guys like with clipboards standing behind me, just kind of staring. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, hi. And they're like, yeah, so we didn't know you had long hair. And I'm like, what?
Mm.
They're like, yeah, they showed me a photo. They're like, this is the photo your agent sent us.
Mm.
It was me with like a buzz cut.
Oh,
like,
whoa.
Short hair. And this company apparently is very conservative. Like I was playing a manager role.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And they're very conservative and they wanted someone like short, clean cut hair, and I'm like, walking looking like the surfer dude. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, so they had this makeup artist or this hairstylist and she was like gelling my hair back and they were trying to make it like to hide it.
Look like it was short.
Uh-huh. And it wasn't working and they sent me home.
No way.
I got fired on the job that day.
Oh,
they were like, yeah, it's not going to work. And I was like, what? So I literally told them, I threw my agent under the bus because I go, here's the deal. I go, here are the emails I've sent my agent. I have different agents around, LA, New York, Atlanta, Texas. This agent, I showed them the email where I was like, hey, my hair is long now. Here are my updated headshots. I have updated all my websites, all the casting sites. I've updated my IMDb. I've updated everything.
Yeah.
But just so you know. And they responded, okay, great, got it. So they knew.
Yeah, somebody dropped the...
And this was like 4 months prior to this shoot. So I'm like, but yet they sent this photo with my short hair. So it was like, then my agent called. It was actually the owner of the agency. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose you as a client. And she goes, we'd love to give you gas money. So can we give you, like, we're thinking $25?
Oh.
And I said, ma'am, I drive a Dodge Dually 3500 Ram truck.
To turn it on.
I drive a tank down the street. I am like armed with a fucking giant, it's like a Hummer.
Yeah.
I go, $25 won't get me to the end of my driveway. I said, I need at least 200.
Yeah.
He was like, okay.
Well, I mean, also a little bit offensive that you just lost me a job and yet you're giving me $25. Like, and here's a $5 Starbucks gift card.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was like an hour and a half drive there. And I had to be there early and then an hour and a half. So it's 3 hours round trip driving. And I'm like, and you're thinking $25 is good? We'll call it even.
And have you been fired from any other jobs?
Acting jobs?
That you would like to discuss?
That I like to bring to the table? Let's see,
Acting jobs, yes.
I did go to one job. I wasn't fired. It was a fitting.
Okay.
And they brought me in and they handed me the clothes to try on. And I go, that's not going to fit.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what do you mean? I go, I am 6'3", and I weigh 225 pounds. And it was like a medium and then like skinny tight jeans. I'm like, they're like, just try it. And I go, okay.
Cool, I'm going to Hulk out on these.
I came out and I'm like, you ever seen Tommy Boy? Fat guy in a little coat. That was me. And they're like, thank you so much. Have a good day. I was not qualified in any way, shape, or form. It'd be like me trying to cut hair.
No.
Like, I would never do the hair. Like, I couldn't do that.
So it's funny that you bring that up because I have a haircut story that is sometimes you get your haircut by non-professional haircut people or stylists, if you will.
Who does?
I did. So I have curly hair and it takes forever. I mean, there's a lot of it. It's everywhere, all the things. But so I've already had my fair share of issues with like hairstylists and things like that over the years. However, I was very, very in my early 20s living in LA, and it was a Saturday, and it was a birthday party for like a friend of mine who was doing a bar crawl in West LA all the way down. And if anyone knows, like West LA all the way down to, the goal was to hit every bar along the way down to the water. And so, yes, that's
a lot.
This is multiple miles and multiple bars. So I don't know why we thought we were in our 20s, we were ready to do this. And the theme of the birthday was like sports. Like everybody was in like sports attire, so you like could come in like
a jersey,
shorts, you could come in a jersey, you could come in anything like that.
Okay.
And so we're going along the way, and this is like before Ubers. This is before like, this is cell phones, but not like incredibly great cell phones, all the things. And so we all end up going down the day, and I have a bunch of girlfriends with me, and we're all going down. And so as the day goes on and we're hitting bar 4, 5, 6, we just start losing people, and I'm like looking for this friend, and I'm looking for this friend, and I cannot find them. And so all of a sudden I look up, and one of the women standing next to me is, in a full softball outfit. And I'm like, yeah, girl. And we're like, well, let's go to the next bar. We're trying to find our friends, all that. I'm like, all right, part of the bar crawl, I'm assuming the next bar is this. And so now at this point, we've had a lot to drink, and I cannot find my friends. None of them are picking up their phone, any of the things. And so she's like, I live around the corner. Come with me back to my house. We'll keep trying to call your friends. And,
this girl wasn't a part of the group.
Well, Ben, stay tuned. Because we get to her house, and you would think I would have gotten that by calling your friends.
Uh-huh.
We are there, and I go to her house, and we're sitting there, and she leans over and kisses me. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, but I am not interested. And meanwhile, I still cannot find my friends. At this point, I've had a lot to drink. And so I'm like, she's like, okay. And I said, but I'm just going to sleep here. And I just fall asleep on her couch, like just straight up fall asleep. So the next morning I wake up and I kind of like look around. I have no idea where I'm at. I have not found any of my friends still to this moment. And so
still to this day,
if anyone sees them, please let them know I'm looking for them. So then I get out. I like just walk outside. I don't even know where I'm at. I walk outside. I go out into the front of the house and I'm like, or like the front of the apartment complex. And I'm like looking around and I'm like, oh my gosh, I call it taxi. Like, because it is not something I can walk home at this point. It is not one of these. I call a taxi. I get back and I like literally berate all of my friends on text message. Like, where were you guys? Heather and I ended up at her house. Like, da 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 da.
They're like, who the fuck is Heather?
I am asleep and I like go back to sleep. And then
Once you're home.
once I'm home. So I get home, I've like now berated all of my friends on like a group text message. And the next thing I know, 5 of them are like running through the door in my apartment, waking me up being like, hey, Brittany, like, oh my gosh, no, this is what happened last night. We all had like really wild nights and all these things. And I was like, yeah, well, look, this is what happened with Heather. And I tell the whole story. And one of them goes, what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, no, Heather and I. And they're like, Heather was with us the entire night. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Random woman, like she just happened to be in a softball uniform. Like she was probably playing on like her company softball. And I'm like, oh my God. So they're all dying laughing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Cut to the reason why this hairstyle comes back to hairstyling is I go to work the next day and I'm standing in the office and my boss looks at me and she goes, what's wrong with your hair? There's a chunk of my hair from the front of my hair missing, like a solid 3 to 4 inches, the front of my hair missing. And I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what?
No.
And I'm like looking and I'm like, okay, like going through my brain, trying to figure it out.
No.
It is my license photo. Like it is now because I'd get my license retaken the very next day. And then I had to get my hair chopped so that it would all be the same length. I do not know, but to this day, I will still stand by this fact that I think that this girl cut my hair while I just like passed out on her couch.
She probably has like a
hair doll.
A voodoo doll.
That's what I assume.
Oh, that is not where I was expecting that story to go. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah. And to this day, all of those friends who I'm still friends with, who everybody had their own wild adventure that night and wild, crazy night or, or fell asleep somewhere else in somebody else's house. We all bring it up often and I will send them every so often the photo, my license photo that still has the chunk of my hair missing. It's like an old one, but I still have a photo of it.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that I did not see the story going there.
I know. Twists and turns.
Yeah, I know. I thought you were going to say like, I went to a hair salon and she ended up being this hairstylist.
Nope.
Well, she was. You just didn't know you were getting your hair cut.
She was an amateur stylist and just felt the need. And again, look, I do not know, but I still stand by this. And I'm like, no.
You had all your hair at the beginning of the night.
Their way. Yes.
And it was like a deliberate chunk. Like you could see like.
I mean, it was a solid like 3 inches long, like 2 inches wide of like just hair missing.
What did she say when you woke up?
I did not see her. I woke up and ran out of her house. I have no idea. Never saw her again.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking wild.
Yeah. So I am traumatized by hair cutting in general. And also because I've had to switch stylists multiple times, just because it's very hard to cut my type of hair.
Right.
And so, oh yeah.
So what if you ever ran into this bitch? Would you recognize her?
For years, I thought I would. For a while, I thought I would. And then, like, of course, not today. Like, I had no idea. But for a solid, like, year or two, I had, like, my head on a swivel. Like, I was like, I will see her. I will know. And I will just have to be like, look.
Give me my hair back.
Right. Do you have a hair doll? Like,
right.
Is there a voodoo doll? Please, like, just be nice to it. You can keep it, but just, like, be nice to it. But just in the future, please don't cut people's hair because it takes a really long time for it to grow back.
That is fucked up.
Yeah.
Like imagine you woke up and you open your eyes and you see her coming at you with the scissors.
Right. And I was like, and that's the thing is I'm like, look, I realize a
lot worse could have happened.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was a tornado in your house probably like, and this, I'm a stranger that just decided to like sleep on your couch, whether you wanted me to or like whatever the case may be. But I was like, oh my God. And then in my mind, I was like, what did I say? That she was like, I'm just cutting this bitch's hair.
I mean,
and even if I'm like, that's the only plausible excuse we got.
I mean, you could have been kidnapped. That could have been a lot worse. You could have shaved your head.
Absolutely.
That would have sucked.
So much worse. But mortifying to be standing there in front of your boss on a Monday morning and she's just looking at me. And I'm like, got my notepad and like, what do you need to do today? Do. And she's just like, what's wrong with your hair? And I was just like, wait, what? And then she's like, look. And she showed me in the mirror and I was like,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I have okay, so one time when AJ and I first started dating,
Okay.
it was around Halloween.
Uh-huh.
I did not eat. I know it's not an excuse, but I did not eat.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up going out in West Hollywood and we went to this restaurant, Tom Tom.
Oh, yeah.
And I know one of the Toms
Okay.
from the thing. So I walk in and he's like,
Do you know Tom or Tom?
Tom. Tom Schwartz. And so we walked in and he was like, Ben, and he ended up making me he's like, I'm going to make you a shot. And they poured like vodka, tequila, rum. It was like you're just going to get fucked up shot.
Yeah.
Cut to, I just got really fucking drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think for some reason I was like, okay, we got to go. And I stormed out of there. I think I threw a total. I was dressed as Elf, by the way, like Will Ferrell's Elf.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's top five costume.
it was great. It was
and
really
I feel like
good.
you have an authentic one. Like it looks real. It looks real. It's
really real.
It's not
I had
like a
tights. I had the whole
fear
thing.
Halloween shit.
No.
Yeah.
This was like an expensive one.
Yeah.
And I threw a little bitch fit. I think at one point I like threw myself into a bush because I like tripped over a chain and I'm like, no one told me that was there. And I'm like, fucking drunk ass tripped over it. Anyways, I at some point get into a car and then AJ's like, where are you? And I'm like, I'm in the Uber. So AJ and his friend get in and I'm like, okay, I tell him the address and then our friend's with us and AJ's like, can you drop her off first? She doesn't have to walk home alone and then bring us home. And he was like, yeah, I guess, but like, I'm not an Uber.
Oh.
They're like, I had just gotten into a random person's vehicle.
Oh my God.
They're like, the guy dressed as Elf, he was just wasted and he got in my car. So I was just going to bring him home.
Okay. First of all, good Samaritan.
Good. I mean, good karma coming your way.
Yeah.
Because I could have gotten killed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But we're in the car and we're like talking to this guy. Like, okay, can you bring us here and then here and then here? And the guy's like, I'm not an Uber. And AJ's like,
swing through In and Out.
Right. AJ's like, what? I'm like, I was like, I was so drunk. It was bad. And then, speaking of running out of someone's house like you did, one time I met this guy out. I never met people out because I just was like, I was always friends.
Yeah, just having fun. That's me too.
And this one guy was like, following me around all night, and he's like, do you want to come back to my place? And normally I would have always said no. And I was like, okay. So I was going back to his place and he wanted to hook up. And things were like starting. And I remember he made these weird noises.
Oh, yep, no.
And it was like, I think we were like kissing. And he's like, do you like that?
Oh, no.
You want more of that? And I'm like, no. And then we're going and he's like, do you want to see my penis? And I go, no. And I go, the fact that you just called it a penis, I go, this is over. Yeah. This is done. Now we're going to wrap this up. I go, who's like, what? It's a dick.
Yeah.
Who's like, you want to see my penis? I was like, okay. And then he's like, I got to go to the bathroom. And I was like, yeah, no worries. I'm going to get a glass of water. I darted out of that apartment so fucking fast, called an Uber, ran, and I mean, bolted, never to see that man again.
I mean, okay, you're like, I will be getting water somewhere else. You didn't lie. You're like, I'm getting a glass of water.
Yeah.
Do you think he could recognize him if you saw him?
I was pretty drunk.
Yeah.
He probably recognized me because, I mean, he was like texting me and he was like, where'd you go? And I'm like, I don't know, you lost me with penis and like, do you want more of that? I mean, who talks like that?
One, unless you're a medical student, like what are we getting into, like straight up anatomy talk?
Right.
Second of all, yeah, like I'm not like a super aggressive, sexy talk in the moment. Like,
here's the deal. Certain people can pull it off.
Yes.
It's kind of like certain people can pull off a man bun. Certain people can pull off certain things. There's certain people that can pull off like, yeah, you want that?
Yeah.
And it's hot. And then there's certain people where it's like, shut the fuck up. What? No. And now that you said that, I do not.
Yeah.
You have ruined it.
Yes. Like I am not attracted to you at all now.
No, my penis is inverting because of what you have just said. So use your words wisely.
I think I'm asexual. Thank you.
Yeah. You've ruined me. So I do get running out of people's houses, though I've never stayed at someone's house and then woke up and ran out the next morning. That you win the award on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't usually stay a lot of times. I leave. But that was one of those days where it was just one of those that like everything, I couldn't find anybody, nobody, you're kind of like out of sorts anyway. And
what was the friend's name?
Day
Heather?
Drinking. The quote unquote friend. Yes. Like,
so what were you calling her?
Heather. Like,
and she was responding to it?
I don't remember. Like,
maybe her name was Heather as well.
Maybe, but there was a woman at the party who looked very similar to this woman. Like,
what did actual Heather say?
Oh no, because I don't even know that one. She was like she was like another friend. Like
Like an add-on.
yes, like she was a friend of the birthday person, but I didn't know her. So when I had like, like at the beginning of the day, because we started this bar crawl again at like noon, and it's 11 p.m. at this point, and like when you're in your 20s, you are an Energizer bunny. When
You just keep going.
Like you just are like, of course I could.
I did a pedal pub for my 21st birthday.
Did you?
Have you ever done one of those?
I have.
I don't pedal, but
Here's the thing.
I let everyone else
I
do that.
don't really want to be exercising while I'm drinking.
No.
Like, I'm sorry.
I like the idea of being
Yes.
outside and you're like moving around the town.
All for it.
I wish that it drove itself.
Yeah.
I love how you sit on
Yeah.
it like a bar stool and it's moving
And
around.
talking and like you're all in kind of like a sort,
It's a blast.
square together. Absolutely.
But everyone was like, Ben, pedal. And I'm like, I am. I never pedaled. I'm still curious where your hair is. I want to know where
I
your
know.
hair is.
I like to think she
Braided it.
maybe made it into a doll. And this is not just me being an asshole. Like, I really like to think she like made it into a doll, but then like kept it in. Maybe it was like maybe she has like, maybe that's her thing, and maybe that's what she does. And or
Probably kills people and keeps a chunk of their hair, and you just happen to be the one that got away.
I know I'm like the one. Maybe.
She must have really loved your hair. Yeah. Okay. Well, to wrap this up, Heather, if that is your name,
Yeah. Exactly.
if you ever listen to this podcast, please reach out to us.
Yeah.
We're not mad.
Yeah.
We're not angry. We would like to connect.
Mm-hmm.
You can connect anonymously if you want.
Yeah.
We want to know the hair is okay.
Yeah.
And we're curious how many other people's hair you have,
Absolutely.
which I think is a fair question.
Yeah. And if they would have had like Nextdoor back in the day, like would I have put it on Nextdoor? You know what I mean?
Right. Because you knew the address.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, you
Could have found our
Yeah.
website.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's not like you look in your Uber app and see where you got.
Right. I mean, that is one of those, thank goodness for Ubers and Lyft and all of those, because I literally looked up like yellow taxi and I was just like, I'm on the corner of depression and embarrassment.
Yeah.
And, choices. Like,
It's an emergency. Okay. So here's our takeaways for the day. Stay with your friends.
yeah.
Don't get drunk and go home with random strangers.
Yeah.
Know which line to get into at the airport.
Absolutely.
Don't go home with people that make weird noises in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get in cars that aren't your Uber.
Yeah. Ask if the Uber is for you when you get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big for Ben.
Yeah.
No, know that it's for them.
Yeah.
I think those are the biggest takeaways for the day.
I'm enlightened. Thank you.
I mean that it's been a week.
It's been a week.
All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to that episode of It's Been a Week, but don't touch that dial because it's not over yet. Get ready for the after show. Been there, done that with AJ. Well, we're going to get AJ's take on whatever the fuck I just said.
Hello, AJ.
Hello.
Welcome to the third episode of It's Been a Week and the second episode of Been There, Done That.
Thank you for having me back, Ben.
I don't really have a fucking choice.
Well, I'm glad to be back. I thought you did a great job on this episode. Brittany was so good. She had such a good voice. She had such good storytelling. I loved listening to her.
What a crazy story, right?
Unreal. I mean, like, her hair was chopped off.
I would fucking die if I woke up and there was a chunk of my hair missing.
Especially if you have beautiful hair like hers.
I mean, she has like a lion's mane. She's like this curly,
I know.
gorgeous hair.
Beautiful hair. So, okay, let's get into it.
Tell me, I'm sure you're going to.
Oh, wait, let me get my note.
Oh, God, here we go with the fucking note.
Mm-hmm. Okay. First of all, the Helen Keller stuff.
Yeah.
It's a cheap joke. Like, you're smarter than that. And I think
I don't think it is. I think it's fucking funny.
no, I think it's a cheap joke. I think you're smarter than that. I feel like you keep getting better and better with these podcasts, and I'm going to encourage you to push on that. Like, no more cheap jokes. Who cares?
Well, sorry, she'll never hear it.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't have heard it if she was here.
Ben, calm down.
Calm down.
All I could think about was that woman looking in the car and being like, calm down. My kids are listening to Kid Bop.
The crazy one. She's like, kids are listening to Kid Bop.
Yeah,
Calm down. calm down.
Wild how when you said that, that's what I visualized.
Well, I
So
do say calm down a lot because people do need to calm the fuck down.
your storytelling around the whole incident with you dressed as the elf.
Mm-hmm.
You clearly don't remember a lot of that evening.
Listen, I was blackout drunk that night. Can I just pull the old, like, I was roofied, like,
Please, you roofied yourself.
okay, I was very drunk. I don't really remember it all.
Mm-hmm.
And we've moved past it. So
No. This episode is going maybe to allow us to move forward from it, but I don't think we'll ever move past it. So let's discuss.
Well, let's make it quick.
Okay, first of all, your Uber guy, the guy you were talking about, it was a girl.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yes, it was a female.
Okay.
And what's incredible about it all is that when you threw your little tantrum and threw yourself on the ground after you tripped over the chain that you like thought someone put in front of you, you were like, I'm injured. We were still pretty new to dating. It was in our first year.
Maybe this was just a test to see.
No, please.
If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
Okay, well, I'm going to flip the test on you because look at who is still around and who was there for you throughout all of this.
Yeah, you passed the test. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. So you were like, yeah, someone put the chain up there. Like, no one put the chain. You tripped over it. You're like, I'm injured. So, of course, I was trying to make sure you're okay. But then I'm like, I think you're fine. So I was like, come on, let's go home. You threw another fit. You're like, I'm not going home. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fine. So me and my friend left you. My friend and I left you. And we walked down the street. And I was like, of course, I'm not going to just leave him without making sure he's okay. So I hid and I watched you. And I watched to make sure that you were actually okay. You got up. You pranced around in your tights and you started taking pictures with people and making new friends. And all of a sudden,
I had fans. Fans.
Your injury disappeared and you were back to normal and everything was fine. And I was like, you know what? F this. I'm out. I'm going home. And we walked towards home. Only to get close to getting home and receive a phone call from your phone, which on the other line is not you, but this woman being like, hey, so I have Ben and I don't really know where to take him. But I'm like, what? So she's like, yeah, like I have Ben and you were the last person that he tried calling. So I figured I'd try calling you. And I'm like, okay, well, we're walking home. Here we're at. Meet us. She comes and brings you. She pulls into some gas station. We go to you. We're like, oh my God, let's get in the car. We're right up the street. We get in the car and I say to her, you know, actually, before you drop us at home, would you mind just dropping off my friend? She's a couple blocks away. And the woman's like, no problem. But you had a problem with it. And then next thing, as the car's moving, you open the door and try to throw yourself out onto the ground because you're furious that we're not just going straight home.
Well, because that was our street. I'm like, just drop us. I'm right here.
No. We weren't yet at our street.
I was like, she can get herself home.
No. Ben, you threw yourself out on the ground. Not okay. We drop off my friend. We get to our house. And when you're getting out of the car, like, I'm home, whatever, I look at this wonderful person that brought us home. And I'm like, I'm so thankful. Obviously, like, he has his phone. So when I get inside, I'll send you a tip. I'm so sorry. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I'll send you a tip on the Uber app. She's like, I'm not Uber. I'm like, you're not? She's like, no, I just saw him on the side of the road and I didn't want to leave him there. So I like got him into my car and then like grabbed his phone and figured out who was the last person he called. I called you. I'm like, oh my God, this is unreal. Like, you're so kind. Like, that's so sweet. It wasn't even an Uber driver. Like, this was totally just some random person who likely saw you in an elf costume throw yourself down on the ground and was like, oh gosh, I got to help this person.
See, I know how to find good people out there. I attract good energy.
Well, if that person ever hears this podcast, I would love for them to contact us because I'm so thankful that they took care of you. And I feel like we should have done more for them.
Yeah, she was great.
You'd have thought it was a boy.
Well,
later in the episode.
She'll be.
So overall, loved the episode. there's things that we need to discuss about you talking about these people that you're going home and sleeping with, apparently.
I didn't sleep with them. I left because they were fucking weird.
It's so funny. If I ever bring up someone from my past, I was like, that doesn't exist. There was no one before me. Yet here on this podcast, you have no problem about just telling everyone about who you maybe were going to go home with, or told you had birthing hips, or whatever the hell that last person told you.
Well, you can't erase the past.
Yeah, you sure can't. But we can move forward. And I got to say, you did a great job in the episode. Can't wait for next week. I hear there's some really amazing people coming up that you're going to be interviewing. And I'm super proud of you. Keep at it. Smart humor. Let's not go for the little dig.
Oh, stop. But I do have some really exciting people coming up that I cannot wait. Also, I have one question for you. Did you also sign the petition to get Joe Exotic out of jail?
No.
Why not?
Because I barely watched that show. And also, like, who cares? Like, you're like, oh, yeah, I'll take him to a park. We'll have some fun. But, like, I wouldn't sleep with him. Here we go again. Like, who cares? Why are you even saying that?
Well, if you watch the show, he, like, slept with these guys and some of them were straight and they would, like, do drugs.
Oh, you are not straight. We all know that.
Well, I know, but that's why I just want to make it clear. I have zero intentions or desires to sleep with Joe Exotic or do drugs with him. I just would like to go to the zoo.
Okay.
I think that would be a great fucking time.
Well, if he ever gets out of jail and he makes himself available on Cameo or something, maybe we can send him some extra money and have him come be in real life with you and go to the zoo, or just come hang out at the ranch because it's basically a zoo.
No, I don't want to know where we live, but San Diego Zoo, great spot.
Listen, great job. Brittany, you were amazing. I feel like she should be a repeat guest. She has got great stories, and can't wait to be back next week.
It's been a week. Okay, everyone, I will see you next Tuesday.
What is up, everyone? I have a question for you. Have you ever done something so wild, so hilarious, or so ridiculous that your friends are still talking about it? Do you have a story that happened to you this week that are going to leave jaws on the floor? Well, here's your chance to tell it on It's Been a Week. Head over to itsbeenaweek.com, scroll down to the bottom, and let me know why you should be the next guest. Bring me the drama, the chaos, and the laughs. I want it all. No story is too crazy, no perspective too bold, and nothing is off limits. So, let's pour a martini, spill the tea, and make a conversation to remember. Submit now, and I cannot wait to talk to you soon.